So this is very simple pants. Okay, right click, place all tile. This is a very simple straight leg pants. Okay, so you have front and the back. Okay, all right. So we talk about shrinkage now. So I will hide the seam allowance. Okay, okay, okay. So the shrinkage here. Okay, when you are doing fitting, okay, uh, let's say pants. Okay, the common shrinkage will be like a lengthwise, right? It got shorter, okay? It shrank, so it got short, okay? Or in across the width of the fabric shrinks, so that means it becomes tight. Let's say, oh, the hip is tighter, okay? So so shrinkage happens in both directions, okay? So that I like to warn you, the very important thing, okay, about using shrinkage, okay. If you're looking at the model, so because this is the x-axis, okay, so if you need to shorten, you need to work with x-axis, okay, so don't get confused because when you're actually looking at the model, this looks like a y-axis, right? But it's not. This is the x-axis. Okay, y-axis is here. Okay, so when you are looking at the actual fit model, okay, then you have to think about this is the x-axis, this is the y-axis. So that's the part I don't want you to get confused. Okay, so when you are fixing the shrinkage, this is the length. X is the one. When you enter the mount, you will enter in the x-axis box. Okay. So how do you find out the shrinkage? Is that, let's say this one has shrank, how much is that? Let's say 1.5 inch. Okay, this one is shrank 1.5 inch. Okay, how do you find out the percentage? Anyone? How do you find out shrinkage percentage? Okay. Well, you probably first need to know the length of the pants. So I will probably measure the side seam. Okay. That's 41.64. So it shrank 1.5. So how much is that percentage? Anybody? How do you figure it out? It's like a mathematical calculation. Okay. So that will be 41. So that, let me write it down. So I have to do the calculation. Okay. So this is the length, the pattern length, but this is the pattern. Okay. Now the garment came back 1.5 inch shorter. That means, let's say it turned into 40 inches. Okay. Outseam became 40 inches. Okay, so that will be about 1.5 shorter. That's the severe shrinkage here. Okay. So how do you find out percentage? Okay. So 41.64 divided by 40, right? Did I do wrong? That's wrong. Okay, maybe this minus 40 divided by 41.64. Okay. Am I doing wrong? This is 9%. That can't be 9%. That's too much. I must be doing something wrong. 40 It's 40 inches, the finished one, and divide by 41.64. Yeah, so that would be 4%, right? Because from, yeah, that'll be 4%. Do you agree? It's 4% shrinkage.
Yes, that sounds right.
Yes. Okay, so 4% shrinkage. So now, so you need to find out the percentage first. Then you go to advanced, shrink and stretch. Okay, so it's a little tricky, so I'd like you to watch my demo. Okay, shrink and stretch. Okay, then here you will select percentage, percent. Okay, then you will enter XY. See, this is what I'm talking about. If you think this is the Y, because when you look at a fit model, that this looks like a Y, but it's not. It's X. Okay. So the percentage is, you say 4%, and this one is nothing. So I will just click and click. Oh, no, minus 4%. What am I doing here? Minus 4%. So minus 4%. X direction. Y doesn't change. Control C doesn't work. So okay, let's do it again. So shrink and stretch and percentage. X is minus 4%. Y is 0. So no shrinkage on the Y direction. Then you will click, click, so it got longer. Okay. So that will dealing with that shrinkage. So hopefully when it's cutting saw and apply steam or whatever, and then going back to original length. Okay, so that's the shrinkage. So in order to do that, you need to know that, figure it out percentage first. Okay, now once you apply the shrinkage, you can see this little the sign right here. That is the indication that shrinkage is applied. But once you save these pieces, it will disappear. Okay, and it is very important you always create separate set of pattern for shrinkage. You understand? You do not modify original piece, original pattern. You will create separate set of pattern first and name with, let's say, shrinkage or whatever, something that you can identify. Then you do apply shrinkage, because once you save, okay, because see, when you save, see, it disappears and you don't know what happened to this piece, right? So that's why it's very important. Some pattern makers will, write like an annotation, say, like a shrinkage minus 4% applied, something like that. You can add annotation to the pattern or to the model. Okay, so otherwise, you will create such a nightmare if you forget, because when you're dealing with shrinkage, if you can nail it one time, that would be good, but you may have to do second time, third, 3 times, sometimes happens. So you want to keep track on the patterns. Okay, so that's very important. Okay. So it's, see, as you can see, very simple, right? You just have to know the shrinkage percentage and then just click and then it's done. How fabulous is that? I mean, when I was hand pattern making, the shrinkage, it was such a, I mean, I really hated it because you have to slash here, 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 and then, tape it together and trace again, and then notches are off, and all kinds of headache. So this is a great, great feature that you can just, boom, apply shrinkage. Don't you love this? I hope you agree. But so that is the basically you do shrinkage. So let me do another one. Yes, it's original. And the other way you can keep track is the like this. You can keep this apply define. Okay, you create define. Okay, click define, okay. And then you apply shrinkage. Okay, so 4%. Okay, then you can view define. You click, so you can see the original pattern shape. You can see that the the future, like a little green line, is original line. So you can, that is a great feature. I think I explained last time, right? Didn't I? Yeah. So now that's define. Every time when you do pattern corrections, I will recommend that you use this feature so that you can see the original shape and then current shape. Okay, so and then other one is that you can you find this shrinkage. You have also stretch. It says shrink and stretch, right? The shrinkage is relatively manageable to deal with in comparison with stretch. What does it mean, stretch? Shrinkage, fabric shrinks. Stretch, that's even harder to deal with because mostly cut and sew knit, right? It would, after you cut, and it basically grows, it gets longer and longer, and then so that is very hard to deal with. Okay, so that if you have that, you will just enter positive percentage, then it will basically pattern becomes shorter or smaller, okay, to deal with the stretch. So that's the other end of the usage, either shrink or stretch. So positive number, negative number. So you deal with that shrinkage so that you can deal with shrinking or stretching. Okay. Questions about this shrinkage? I mean, it's very, easy to use, but other things you might be careful with that shrinkage is that, like for example, okay, so this one is waistband is cut on the grain, right? Cross grain. This is the grain line like this. So if the pants, for example, especially when you do denim, that's I'm when I was working on the denim team, I worked for the denim team. So these days, a lot of denims, the jeans, do a lot of treatment, right? Like a destroy look, distressed, wash, and then the garment, all kinds of process that has to go through. So a lot of washing involved. So it is very hard to control the outcome of the fit. Okay, you get too small or too big. So it's very hard to nail the exact shrinkage. So it's very challenging because you have no control over that process because you're going to send out, right? So you don't know whether they are doing the exact same condition they used the last time. Maybe temperature is a little bit higher this time. All kinds of stuff that affects the shrinkage and the outcome. So that's a very real headache. Okay, so that part, besides that, okay, what would happen is that, for example, okay, that's a real nightmare I had to, okay, okay. So now you can, let me apply the waistband to waistband. I'm going to apply same shrinkage here. Okay. So what happens is if you if you apply shrinkage, right, these are applied all same, okay, what would happen is like this, okay. So I am going to now verify work pieces, okay. Let me change this one first. Modify, this is the front, this is the back, so I'm going to, so that should be more like that, right. I'm going to realign grid. Okay, so this one is the waistband. Yes, I will just walk waistband, see whether the waistband matches, right? So I will do walk piece, walk, verify, walk. So I walk from change direction and from here, 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 here to one side. It's okay. And I walk from here, change direction. So when I walk, okay, well, you see it's a different, right? It doesn't match anymore. Why is that? Right? Because when you have different shrinkage, and the one is cut on this grain and that grain, then obviously it will then measurement won't match anymore. So in this case, instead of cutting this straight grain, probably you will cut on the same grain, especially when you do shrinkage on this direction. Let's say it gets tighter, for example, and then you need to make a waist. This will make waist bigger, right? When the waist, the body part with pants body waist becomes bigger when you apply shrinkage, and then but this one doesn't change because you see x-axis is y-axis this much, so it has very little change for that. But then this part doesn't change, so that means the waist measurement no longer matches. Okay, so that's what you have to think about when you do shrinkage. Grain line affects that different shrinkage. So you have to think maybe you cut this the waistband on the cross grain, and or you have to make a little bit of adjustment at the waist so that it fits. Okay, so that's the thing that you have to figure it out right when you do shrinkage. Okay, are you good? So shrinkage is pretty straightforward, right? Yes. Okay, I hope so. Now, there's another one called scale. This is also useful, so I'm gonna show you the scale. Okay, scale does the same, basically same thing, same function, just like shrinkage. Okay, but it's a different application. I will use this scaling. Okay, scaling. Good part of scaling is like this. Okay. Let me make just one example so you can see. I'm going to use the blouse here. Ladies blouse. Ladies blouse. Okay. So this is the blouse here. Then I decided to add, button, for example. So I'm gonna here in the middle. Okay. So this is center front line. Okay. And I decide to add a button. Okay. Proportional space. So select that. What am I doing here? The button marking and multiple proportional online. Then I'll select the line. Then I'll say maybe this is the last part of the button. This one is the first like half an inch inside. Then right click OK. Both, and how many in between? Maybe 4 in between. And then button size is a half an inch, so 0.25. cancel. I did wrong. Mark. Okay. Maybe this is the last one. No, radius. Oh, 25. Oh, sorry, I keep making mistakes. So forgive. Let's see. Okay, so now let me do again. Mark radius and then uncheck create a piece. So right click multiple proportional online, select, and this will be half an inch inside. So about, I'm going to eyeball it about here, and right click OK. Both, and how many in between? 4, and then radius will be okay. All right. So now I see I have a button like that. Okay, button. I marked the button placement. Then suddenly, okay, the fit comments is that you need to add, the length is got much shorter, okay, but you want to keep the same button ratio, okay. So for example, I will create this one, copy, right? Copy this one, okay. Now here you need to make 3 inches shorter, for example, okay. So I will make hemline 3 inches shorter, okay, -3. So you can see button placement a little odd, okay. So what you can do is like this, okay. So I will basically copy this one. I know there's a little bit of extra, but okay. And then I'm going to advanced scale, okay. So I would do linear, x I would do -3. Y doesn't change. So then I will click this, okay. So you got 3 inches shorter. So you can see it will match exact. I thought I did 3. Oh, I know, because it starts from here. Okay. That means I need to do again. See. Okay. So I need to figure it out from here. 3 inches. So 3 inches minus from here, 3 inches shorten. That means, oh, I'm not doing the math well. So, okay. Anyway, so let's say if you have figured out the exact amount, so what you can do is you will go into see, this will proportionally shorten that internal line too. So here, instead of using this one, what you can do is you will modify, delete the lines first, these lines, and then you will actually create a copy of these lines. Oh no, here, cancel. Copy these lines, and you will place it here, okay, so that you see you don't really need to figure it out how to, to proportionally place the bottom placement. So that is sometimes it's very useful, okay, especially if you have, like a Parker or some outerwear has top stitch detail. You know what I'm talking about? So the top stitch detail, if you have I'm going to do by freehand, but you will probably have exact measurements. You know, the placket has top stitch detail like this, right? Okay. And then suddenly you said, well, you know, you need to shorten this like 2 inches or whatever. So you have to, when you shorten, okay, modify. See, if you shorten 2 inches, okay, so then you have to, you know, again, proportionally redraw the top stitch detail, okay. So that is that's like a, you know, little takes time, but instead you can actually use advanced scale, and then again, let's say minus 3 inches. See, then you will proportionally change that internal line too. Okay, so that's sometimes it's useful. Okay, that's a scale. Okay, scale you can do by linear or percentage. When you do percentage, it's different from shrinkage. Is a shrinkage you enter shrinkage percentage, but when you do scaling, it works with against 100%. Okay, so if you wanted to make it this one 10% smaller, okay, that will be x will be 90, and y will be y. If y doesn't change, it has to be 100. Okay, so it works with 100 as a 0, no change. Okay, so when you click, see that 10%, it shortened 10%. Okay, so difference with shrinkage and scaling is that's the difference. So when you do scaling, and percentage will be against 100. Okay. Okay, so yes, so shrinkage, again, XY axis, you have to be mindful of that. And also you always create a separate set of pattern to do a shrinkage. Okay, you always keep original intact.